Good morning and welcome to our intermediate class. So this week we're focusing on the idea of how our thoughts play a role in basically who we are and who we become. And I know it's really common for many of us to have minds that are busy at certain times, and especially when we don't want them to be, like when we're trying to sleep and that kind of thing. And it can be so frustrating to the point of sending us to take drugs to calm the mind. And there's a really important reason these days why our minds are so busy, aside from all of the things we've been going through in the past year. But with the rise of the internet and advertising, and there's so much competing for our attention out there that it's really hard to bring our attention back in and to limit our attention. It gets pulled constantly, right? I'll be working, I have to shut things like Facebook on my computer when I'm working on things, because on other things, because the little ding will come and it's so seductive, and it just wants to pull me in. And so really we can't eliminate all of the distractions. It's not possible. But what we can do is make a choice to direct our mind in a certain way, in a certain direction. And so as we practice today, we're going to keep bringing the mind back to the present moment in order to help kind of let those distractions be more in the background. They will always be there, right? So we can't just put ourselves in a in a quiet room somewhere where there's no distractions and live like that. It doesn't work. Those distractions will always be there. So can we learn to live with them? Right? And I used to think that I didn't have a lot of control over my thoughts, and sometimes I still don't, to be quite honest. But now and again, I can catch myself just the way that we might catch ourselves about to say something that we think, maybe I shouldn't say that. Right? Sometimes I have the ability to stop myself before it comes out of my mouth, but I'm also finding that I can notice a thought before it forms and decide if I want to think that thought or not. Is that a thought that's going to take me down the road I want to go, or is that a thought that's just going to keep me kind of mired in muck? Right? So our minds are really interesting places, and learning how to make friends with them and to direct our thoughts in ways that we want to direct them is really key. So today we're going to use something in the present moment, and I really like to use the breath. The breath for me is really an easy focus, but I know for others it's not so easy. So especially if you have trouble breathing, if you have asthma or you have other issues around your breath, you might find focusing on the breath creates anxiety for you. So I really invite you to not focus on the breath if you feel yourself getting anxious, because that really is against the point. And if that's the case for you, some other realm of something in the present. So using sounds that are in your environment can be helpful. Just noticing the sounds or noticing sensations in your body. So some way of just coming right back to the present moment within your environment is really key and helpful to bringing the mind into focus. Later on we could decide on something positive we want to focus on, but for now, just coming to neutral, right, is really key. So you might have heard stories of people counting sheep when they go to sleep, and I don't know if that works or not, but the idea is that you're taking the mind away from what it's obsessing on and coming to something that is theoretically calming, or at least neutral. So that's the idea today. So we're going to start seated. So you can get yourself comfortable. If you want to sit in a chair, sit on the floor, that's fine, whatever you like, and we'll go from there. All right, little miss, time for you to go up again. Up. Where you go? Where you go? Go. On your bed. We get the little negotiation here. Go. Coming to a comfortable seat. You can sit cross-legged if you like. Your legs can be stretched out if that's more comfortable for you. It really doesn't matter here. And we'll take a moment to simply tune in and check in as to where we're at right now. So you are coming from doing something else. Maybe your mind is a little bit busy. that's totally fine. So we're not trying to control anything, just really tuning in and noticing. So if you like, you can close your eyes. And let's start by noticing the body. So maybe you can notice an outline around your body, containing your body. And notice what's present within that outline. So how does your body feel overall? And then I invite you to notice areas of your body that draw your attention. And that's often areas that are uncomfortable or painful, and that's fine. Let your attention go there if that's present for you, but don't dwell there. So notice what's painful or uncomfortable, if there's any such place in your body, and then like a pendulum, swing to something that's comfortable or neutral. And then notice again, are there areas that maybe feel uncomfortable? Just notice, touch on those, and then back to what feels neutral or comfortable. If there's nothing that feels painful or uncomfortable, awesome, great for you. Just notice whatever is present, maybe going from neutral to positive, back to neutral. So we'll take a moment to notice the body. Let the mind wander a little through the body. Notice what's comfortable, maybe what's uncomfortable. Notice what's neutral. And then if it's a comfortable focus for you, tune into the breath. So again, you're welcome to tune into sound or stay with sensation if that's more comfortable for you. And with the breath, you're simply noticing where the breath moves, the quality, the pace, the texture of the breath. And start to tune into your mind, into your thoughts. So we're not directing or trying to change anything here. We're simply noticing what passes through, what is present. Is your mind really busy? And if it is, acknowledge that. There's absolutely no shame in having a busy mind. That is what our minds do. So acknowledge, notice. If your mind feels kind of dull or heavy, notice that. Perhaps there's a feeling of spaciousness or clarity in your mind today, so notice that. And then I invite you to tune into your emotions, your mood. Notice what's present for you emotionally today. Maybe something you brought with you to the class or something that's come up for you in these first few minutes. The thing with emotions is they often go along with thoughts, but they always go along with sensation. So those sensations may be really subtle, but we use the language of sensation all the time, like feeling like I've been punched in the gut, or my heart is broken, or there's a lump in my throat. So see if you can notice your mood and then track if there's any physical sensation you can be aware of with your mood or your emotion. And don't worry if not. It can be very, very subtle. And then let's take a deep cleansing breath. So breathing in fully, exhaling completely, letting that go. We'll do a little bit of warm up for the neck, shoulders, arms, and hands before we move on to all fours and do some work there. So let's start with just a nice, easy cat-cow motion, getting into our own rhythm with the breath. So inhaling, a little lift in the heart, arch in the back. Exhaling, rounding, let your chin come down towards your chest. And inhale, arching, follow your breath if that's comfortable for you, or just do the movement and breathe normally if you prefer. If you like, you can keep your eyes closed and stay really tuned into sensation. So when the mind is busy noticing what's going on in the present moment within your body, breath, mind, or emotions, it has less energy, less space to go wandering. Sometimes letting the mind wander is a beautiful thing. Daydreaming, creativity. When we want the mind to be focused, do we have the ability to bring it there? And after your next exhalation, you can return to a neutral spine. We'll do a little movement for the head. So turning the head to one side and letting the chin come down across the front of the chest, and we'll half circle sweep to the other side. And then back. Side to side a few times. Again, the more you can keep your attention really keyed into the subtleties of your physical experience, the more the mind comes into focus. And the fewer distractions, draw it away. If it feels good, you can make a gentle full circle. You always want to be careful not to let your head fall back behind your shoulders. Just draw the head across the top of the shoulders. The next circle, and at some point, you can just switch directions if you're circling, go the other way. Notice what, if anything, changes as you change direction. Okay, and then let's come back to the center. Bring your palms together and press the bases of your fingers, the fingertips, the heels of your hands, the thumbs, gently press together and move the heels of your hands down towards the ground. So you can feel some stretch here, probably in your forearms and wrists. And then you can try keeping the fingers and the bases of the fingers together, separating the heels of your hands a little bit to stretch into the fingers a little more. Just always tuning in to make sure it's comfortable for you. And then releasing to circle your wrists around. Again, tuning in, noticing I have a little click in one of my wrists each time I go around, so I'm aware of that. Circle the other way, see if anything changes. Make sure you're breathing. Right, let's bring the palms together again. Put a little pressure, press down toward the ground, lift the chest, lift the crown of the head, and then we'll inhale and lift the arms up overhead. As you exhale, reach your fingers wide, arms wide, and make a big circle around. You can bring your hands behind you, and if it's available to you, interlace your fingers. Otherwise, just arms parallel. Draw the shoulder blades down and back, and take a couple of breaths here. Feeling the breath, inhabit the fullness of your rib cage, especially in the front of the chest, collarbones. Right. And then we'll open the arms wide to the sides. Take a breath in. As you exhale, cross one arm over the other, bringing the hands to opposite shoulders. Let your head come down and the upper back round a little bit. Take a breath or two here, opening into the space in the back of your body now between your shoulder blades. Notice which arm is on top. We're going to open the arms, reaching with a big breath in, and then exhale to bring the other arm on top. Again, a little rounding of the upper back, softening down with the shoulders, head down slightly, breathing into the space between your shoulder blades. And then releasing to open. And releasing the arms back down. Okay, let's take one ear towards the shoulder on that side. So just dropping the shoulder towards the, dropping the ear towards the shoulder stays released. And then the opposite hand, slowly lift the arm to the side. And then you can turn the palm up and down. You might find a kind of sweet spot where you feel a nice stretch here, you feel some pull or movement, but it should feel comfortable. And you're just taking the arm up, rotating the palm up, rotating the palm down. Great, and then rotate the palm so it's facing behind you. Draw the arm down and bring your hand behind your back with the palm facing away from you. And then think about this shoulder gently moving back a little as the chin draws down. If it's uncomfortable or too much stretch for your neck, just come back to center anytime. Great, let's release the arm from behind. Slowly bring the head back to center. Pause for a moment here, let both shoulders release. Maybe notice the two sides of your neck and if there's any discernible difference in sensation. And then let's create nice length in the spine and let the head then release to the other side. And you can slowly raise your arm up. You'll find a point where you'll feel maybe a little more stretch, a little more pull in that shoulder, arm area. However high you want to raise to find that sweet spot. And then you can rotate. Hand up, hand down, even turning the palm back a little. You can play around with how far your arm is forward or back for slightly different feeling of stretch in the arm and shoulder and neck. Okay, and then turning so the palm is back, so it's an internal rotation in the shoulder. Take the palm facing out behind you. Think about the shoulder moving back a little as the chin moves down slightly. And take a few breaths here. Again, if it's too much for your neck or shoulder, just modify, come out of the pose at any time. So let's slowly release the arm, bring the head back to center. And let's do a few more cat-cow. So a nice aligned movement for the spine. Inhaling with an arch, exhaling and rounding. Really bring the chin in toward the chest, but not forcing it. So letting it release in. Inhaling, arching, exhaling, rounding. Wonderful. Let's now, if you're sitting on something, you're on a chair, you're on a cushion, just come off whatever that is. So move it aside, bring your legs out in front of you. Get a little wider, and we'll rotate the knees down toward the ground one way and down toward the ground the other. So just after sitting for a while, releasing, bring a little more movement into the hip joints. And then we'll come back to the center. You're going to bring your knees in. Give your knees a hug. Bring your head down. Take a couple of breaths here. And then you'll reach your hands down between your legs to take your ankles. Let the soles of your feet come together. And you can use your ankles as leverage. You're going back a little on the ankles, drawing the shoulders back, chest forward, and you can gently move the knees up and down here. So you want to find as much lift in your spine as possible. So not rounded back so much, but using that little bit of leverage to help hold you upright as you gently open the knees a little here, balancing to just create a little movement in the inner thigh. Great. And then you can bring the knees in. We'll swing the legs around and come onto hands and knees. So again, let's move with the cat-cow. So now we've got a little more movement because the hips are not locked by the ground. So you can let the tail lift, head lift, chest expand, belly expand, breathing in here. And then as you exhale, rounding, or if you like, you can round in with child's pose. Inhaling, arching, exhaling, rounding. A few more breaths at your own pace. Maybe make this the last one like this, and then we'll come back to all fours. And just a reminder, if your wrists need a break anytime, please take it. So your wrists may need a little more love and attention than mine or others do. So you can always just take a break, go to child's pose, come off your wrists or come to your forearms. So from here, you can stretch one leg back. Inhale, find a little lift in the heart, lift in the chest, head, leg. And then exhale, deeply rounding, bringing your knee in toward your nose. So let's do that a few times on this side. Inhale as you extend out. Exhale as you flex and draw in. Make this the last one as your knee comes toward your nose. Hold there for a couple of breaths. Press into your hands, round your back. Bring the knee as close to your nose as you can and hold. When you're ready, release. Again, inhale, arching, exhale, rounding. Just one little cat-cow movement before we do the other side. And then you'll take that knee up, other leg, inhale, exhale, knee in toward your nose. Squeezing in, really use your breath. Inhale, you're expanding. Exhale. As you exhale, the core engages, knee toward nose, back round. And the next time knee comes toward your nose, stay there, squeeze in, pull, keep your foot off the ground if you can. Breathing, pressing into your hands, rounding the back, squeezing the knee in, and release. So let's do a few circles, sending the hips towards one heel, the other, and back round and up. You can allow the body to move in any way that feels good. So just letting the body snake as you circle. And circle the other way a couple of times as well. Great. Okay, let's just take a moment in child's pose. We can give the wrists a little bit of a break. You can do some movements here if you like, circling, fists or open hands, whatever feels good. Okay, and then when you're ready, the next one, it is a little bit trickier. So I invite you to do your best. If it just doesn't work for you, go back to what we were doing with the knee coming in and out. So in this one, we're going to take one leg back again. You're going to bring the knee towards the nose. And then see if you can bring your foot in front of the other knee and cross it over so the leg that was moving back, now your knee is in front of the other knee. So I'll do that again. So you're stretching back, knee comes in, you're gonna take your foot, if you can, bring it around your knee so that the leg that was stretched back is now in front of the other leg, okay? And then you're gonna shift your weight onto your front knee. That foot will come back into center, the other leg will stretch back. You might need to walk your hands forward as you go. Bring that knee in. If you need to come up onto your fingertips to get your foot around, you can do that. So you're gonna bring the leg around, shift your weight onto that knee. As you get there, you'll want to rotate the leg so it's straight back behind you, reach the other leg back, bring it in. So we're basically crawling forward, crossing the knees each time. When you get maybe off the end of your mat, so you don't want to take your knees onto hard floor, you're going to go backwards. So the leg that's in front, you're going to uncross, stretch it back. This part's a bit tricky. You're going to cross it behind the other knee, shift your weight onto that knee that you just put behind, and then your other leg will be released and in front. You're going to bring that knee up, take it back, tuck it in behind. I hope you're still with me, but if not, you can always just wait in child's pose if you're confused. So front knee comes in, slides around, reaches back, tucks behind. If it feels awkward, you're probably doing it right. This is quite awkward. Eventually, you'll end up back where you started, and you'll finish by, instead of tucking the knee behind, you're gonna bring it aside. And then from here, with knees side by side, we'll take the knees wider, so towards the edges of your mat, if you're using a mat. Bring your hips back towards your heels. You can come onto your forearms or rest your head on your hands on the ground. You want to have your knees wide enough so that there's no restriction, right? So the knees are apart and your belly rests between your legs and you can breathe with total ease here, or at least with more ease than in child's pose. So take a few breaths here. Let your lower back and your hips soften, relax. Let your breath move easily. And again, notice, is your mind being distracted? And can you find a way of bringing your attention back to the moment? Maybe it's feeling the sensations in your body as you breathe. Maybe it's noticing the sounds around you. Take another few breaths here. And then when you're ready, we'll come back up to all fours. Plant your hands, come upright, bring your knees in, underneath your hips, sorry. Right, and from here, we're going to move into downward dog. So you can take your first downward dog, walking on the spot. When you need a break, come on down. You can come to child's pose for a few breaths. Try with the knees together this time if that's comfortable for you. If not, knees apart is great. Just see the difference. And then if you're ready for another round of downward dog, you can come back to all fours, come back into downward dog, Keep your knees soft and bent, head coming between the arms. Press into your hands, send your hips back behind you. And one at a time, walking the heels toward the ground. Relax your jaw. Draw your shoulder blades a little wider if you can. So as if you're squeezing your elbows towards each other, and that will help to open up your shoulder blades. Okay, let's come back down to all fours now. And you can come up to a high kneeling position. And we'll take one leg forward. And you'll wiggle that foot a little bit forward of your knee. And you want to make sure that your back knee is comfortable. So if you need extra padding, go ahead and bring a blanket or fold your mat over under your knee. And then bringing your hands onto your front knee. You're going to rock forward into lunge. And then rock back just onto your back knee. So forward into lunge, lifting the heart. And rock back. Great. Coming into lunge now, leave your opposite hand on your knee. So put your right knee forward, put your left hand on the knee. And we'll take the opposite arm and draw it back, palm facing behind you. And if you like, you can then bring the hand to hold the knee or the forearm across the knee, adding a little bit of twist. Swing the arm down, bring both hands down, and lift your back knee, coming up into a higher lunge, and then stepping back to downward dog. And then coming down, all fours, child's pose. Take a breath through two in child's pose. And then we'll come up to kneel and lifting right up into high kneeling. From here, other foot forward. Again, you can wiggle the foot a little more forward. Hands onto the front knee. Drawing forward and back a few times. So we're really just turning that stretch on. You know, I feel it mostly in the front of the hip, and then turning it off. Shifting back. So you can stay in the lunge. So whichever hand is opposite to the leg, you can keep the hand on the leg. The other arm is going to swing back and turn towards that back arm. Either the hand stays on the thigh, or you can move the forearm. You want to keep your body upright and breathe. Nice, easy twist. Swing the arm down. Bring the hands to the ground. Tuck your back toes under. Lift up. From here, we'll step forward. So you'll end up in a standing forward bend. And let your head go. You can give it a little shake side to side, forward and back, just releasing any tension in the neck. You can bring your hands to your shins. Come up about halfway. Find some length. And exhale, fold forward. And then inhaling, come all the way up now. Reaching the arms overhead. And releasing to your sides. Coming to mountain pose. Let's take a couple of breaths here. Feel your heels drop into the earth. The crown of your head lifting towards the ceiling. Let's turn the palms out. Inhale and lift, lifting the arms overhead. As you exhale, bend your knees, bring your arms behind your back, palms facing the ceiling, head coming down toward the ground. And then again, inhale and lift. Exhale, soften your knees, bring your chest toward your thighs. You can even come down a little further with the knees this time. lifting up. And again, coming down, chest toward the thighs, head releasing. Good, and this time as we come forward, we're gonna bend the knees, bring the chest toward the thighs, and bring the hands down so that the hands are around the calves or ankles, head down, belly on your thighs, taking a couple of breaths here. If you like, you could fold your hands behind your thigh or behind your calves as well instead. A couple more breaths here. And then when you're ready, coming all the way up, breathing in. Exhaling to release. Work a little bit with the thighs now. In Utkatasana, or it's actually called Ardha Utkatasana, the half squat, not the full squat. So in the half squat, we're just coming down part way, right, into a squat as if we're sitting in a chair. And the things that you want to keep aware of is that your knees stay back over your ankles rather than knees coming forward, and that your body stays upright. So it might be leaned forward a little bit, but you're not rounding forward. So as you sink down into your thighs, hips move back, chest lifts. So you can try that. Lowering, coming back up a couple of times. And then we'll add the breathing in. So you're going to inhale and lift your arms up. As you exhale, coming to sit, you can bring your hands to your thighs. And inhale to lift. Exhale. Good. This time, keeping the hands off the thighs, either just down in front or you can leave them overhead. Shift your weight to one foot, lift the other. Breathe. If you want to work harder, straighten the leg that you've lifted. If you want to work harder still, sit down a little more. Good. And then other side, so knees are bent. Shift your weight. Lift the other foot. Maybe stretch it out. Bring it in, release, and come to stand and release. And get a little shake. Take the feet apart a little bit. Bring your hands to your hips and circle the hips around. Circling one way and then the other. Wonderful. And coming back to the center. Then we'll bring the feet in under the hips. So we're going to work with a posture called Eagle. And we'll set the arms up first. And Eagle is a balance pose, and it can be a bit challenging to balance, right? So the easier way to balance is when everything is kind of out to the sides. And Eagle brings everything close into the center. So really important to use your gaze to help you to balance. So once we get the arms set up, I'm going to invite you to look at a spot that's not moving, preferably not looking at me on the screen because I may be wobbling. But focus your gaze on something that's not moving. And from there, we'll be able to move into the balance part with the legs. Okay. So let your heels go down into the earth. Really establish a sense of being grounded on both feet. Feel your thighs engage, the heart lift, the shoulders drop, the crown of the head reaching towards the ceiling. Okay. And then taking the arms wide. So you'll take a breath in here. As you exhale, cross one arm over the other. You can bring your hands to your shoulders. And this might be as far as you go with the eagle arms. This is a nice alternative movement if the shoulders don't want to come into the full pose, if it feels uncomfortable. But if you want to go further and your shoulders allow, You'll let the backs of the hands come towards each other. And that might be enough for you, right? If you still want more and it's available to you, the bottom hand will come to tuck under the thumb side of the upper hand. And that gives you a little bit of leverage. So from here, we're going to take a breath in, exhale, and come into that half squat position. No knees back over the ankles, spine upright, and then notice which arm is on top. So if you've got your right arm on top, you're going to shift your weight to the right leg. If you've got your left arm on top, you're going to shift your weight to your left leg. Come on to the toes of the other foot. You're going to pick that leg up, cross it over the other, squeeze your thighs towards each other. Sorry, I forgot to mention again to find somewhere to look at. If you can tuck your toes in behind the other leg, go for it. And then sit down a little more. Lift your heart a little more, maybe lift your elbows a little more, and breathe. When you're ready to come out of the pose, slowly release your arms. As they come to the sides, lift the knee, pause, and then land. Good. And then just give it a little shake and let that go. That can be a tricky pose, so if you found it challenging, that's okay. Know that it is kind of challenging, but also know that you might have, maybe not, you may have chosen your easier side first instinctively. So see how the other side goes. So take the arms to the sides, take a breath in. And as you exhale, bring the other arm on top now. Hands to the shoulders, relax your shoulders. If you want more, let the backs of the hands come towards each other. And if it's available to you and you still want more, take the lower hand, tuck it under the upper hand on the thumb side. And again, shoulders relax, maybe elbows lift a little, and find a way to look either between, you can look between your arms, or around to the outside a little bit. So you want to find a position that you can get a nice focus on something that's not moving, and then bend your knees. Whichever arm is on top, you're going to shift your weight to that same side. The opposite leg will lift. Drawing thigh over thigh, sit down. So the standing leg is not straight, it's bent. You can sit down even more, maybe tuck the foot in behind if it will go. It's not important. You can also use it to balance on the ground if you need to. And breathe here. When you're ready to release, slowly release the arms as they lift, moving the standing leg straighter, lifting the knee, and releasing. And we'll give a little shake again. So let that go. Coming back to Tadasana, mountain pose. Palms together. Press down a little. And then lift. Inhaling. Exhale, big circle. Bring your arms behind your back now. Interlace your fingers, draw the shoulders down and back. Take a couple of breaths here. Good. When you release, you're going to lift the arms all the way up with a breath in. Exhale and sweep forward into a forward bend. Inhale, hands to shins, coming halfway up. Exhale and release. Inhale, lift all the way up. Palms coming together. Exhale, back to the heart. And let's do that again. Inhale, lift. Exhale, big circle. Bringing the arms behind you. Interlace your fingers. We'll take a few breaths here. Shoulders down and back. Relax your jaw. Relax your neck and face. Okay, and then when you release, inhale and lift all the way up. And then exhale, big wide circle, releasing forward. Taking a few breaths here now. You can let the arms hang or cross your arms or rest them on your thighs, whatever's comfortable. One more breath. And then we'll come all the way up. Breath in. And exhaling to release. So coming back to mountain pose, we'll pause here for a moment before we come to lie down and taking this moment to check in. So notice your body, notice the sensations. You might feel something different now than you did earlier, or maybe about the same. I'm aware that I feel quite warm now, and there's some tingling. So notice what's true for you. Okay, and then we're going to make our way to the ground, and we'll continue our check-in lying down. So take your time, come down. And when you make your way to the ground, just pause. You can have your knees bent or legs straight, whatever you prefer. Maybe let your hands rest on your body. It helps to bring a little more awareness to the breath. And again, we'll take a moment to tune into the breath. So again, if you find focusing on your breath uncomfortable for any reason, you can go back to sensation or tune into sounds. If you're following your breath, you're simply noticing the breath as it is, feeling the movement of your inhale and the movement of your exhale. Notice your mind now. Is your mind busy, quiet, focused, dull, asleep? Please try to notice without judgment. Training the mind is a process that can take years or lifetimes. And if we approach it with great patience, the way we might train a puppy, every time the puppy goes off, we gently but firmly bring it back to where we want it. Now let's bring your feet together. So the ankles are together, the knees are together. You can keep the hands on the body if you like. And we'll slowly open the knees to the sides, letting the soles of the feet come together. Breathing in as you do this, and then exhaling, bringing the knees back together, pressing into the feet and squeezing the knees in towards each other. And then opening with a breath in. You can always just breathe normally if you don't want to coordinate breathing and movement. If you're breathing with movement, exhale, press down, squeeze in. So your whole body may rock a little bit with this movement. You might feel it all the way up your spine as the spine responds to the movements of your hips. So try not to control the movement of the rest of your body. Just as you move the knees slowly apart and back together. If you like, you can stay in this open position for a few breaths. You may want to put some support underneath your thighs, like blankets or cushions or blocks if you have them. You may not need them, and that's fine. And then as you're here, and if you want to keep moving dynamically is fine. And if you're staying, take a moment to again focus on either breath, sensation, or sound in your space. been holding the knees apart. When you're ready to bring them together, do so really, really slowly. Like take 10 or more breaths to bring your knees together. You might feel they start to shake a little bit, and that's great. You can even pause there and let them shake a little. Slowly, slowly, slowly bringing the knees up towards each other. Again, that shaking is normal. You can just let that happen. You can pause there and really feel it. Slowly, slowly. And eventually, slowly finding the knees, coming back together, soles of the feet, back to the floor. Okay, and when the knees come together, let's leave them together and wiggle the feet apart. And the feet can go as wide as sort of shoulder distance or the width of your mat. And let's just pause here for a moment. And in this pause, feel the back of your sacrum, so the back of your hips. When we come into this position, knees together, feet apart, it kind of opens and draws the sacrum nice and grounded. So feel that sense of dropping into the pelvis. A couple of breaths here. And then we're going to line the feet up underneath the knees. So you're going to wiggle your feet in towards each other. Have the knees a little bit apart so they're right over the feet, more or less. And then a little rocking, just a few inches either way, shifting the weight from one side of the sacrum or back of the hips to the other. And if you like that, you can stay with that. If you want a little more twist, you might take your arms to the ground, out to the sides, and let the knees come further to one side as you turn the head the opposite way. So you're going one direction, back to center, and then the other direction. You can exhale as you go to either side and inhale as you go to the center if that breath pattern feels comfortable for you. Otherwise, as always, just breathe easily. If your body says yes to staying for a few breaths in the twist, you can stay. Maybe even move this upper leg a little more across the body if you want a bit more twist. And if your body says, I'd rather keep moving, then keep moving. If you've had enough twisting, that's fine too. If you've been staying on one side, you will want to shift at some point, stay on the other side for a roughly equal amount of time. And really listening to your body and what it would prefer here, what would feel good. And then eventually coming back to center. You might want to lift your hips up and bring them back down so you're feeling aligned in your spine before you bring your knees into your chest. And then we'll move the knees forward and back a few times to lengthen and release the spine. Exhaling with your coordinating breath as you come in. Inhaling as you move away. If you like, you can hold the knees in, maybe rock a little side to side or circle around, or Stretch the arms and legs up, give them a shake. So really just take another couple minutes to move in whatever way would feel good to you. We are moving next into Shavasana. So if whenever you're ready, you can go there on your own. So take your time though, move, stretch in whatever way would feel good, and then start to eventually find your way to stillness. Probably lying down, but seated is also a nice option if you're worried about falling asleep. Sometimes I find if I'm seated, my attention is just a little bit more focused. When I'm lying down, I might tend to daydream a little more. It's totally up to you. You decide what feels right for you. Of course, lying down is much more relaxing and relaxed than sitting. And do make sure you're warm enough. It's really hard to relax if you're cold. Whenever you find that comfortable position where you can relax for a few minutes, and let your body soften and sink into the support of the ground, whether you're sitting or lying down. You want to feel that the ground really supports you, that you can surrender into that support. Feel where your body makes contact with the ground. Feel the pressure. Really tune into those sensations of your body meeting the ground wherever that is. And as you notice those points of contact, see if you can soften and melt a little into those contact points. Exhale and let go. Let go of the effort of the practice. Let go of any thoughts that tell you things should be a certain way, one way or another. And allow yourself to be as open as possible to this moment. Feeling your body on the ground. Awareness of your breath moving through your body. Being aware of your mind without trying to direct it in any way at all now. Just noticing where your mind goes. Let the muscles around your face and jaw relax a little more as is available to you. Shoulders, arms, and hands let go. We've created some space in the front of the chest around the collarbones, also in the back of the upper torso and shoulder blades. We worked a lot with the neck, sides of the neck, front and back. See if you can bring even more ease and softening into these areas. The neck, shoulders, chest, upper back. Let your whole torso release a little more as you exhale. Feel your body soften. Feel your hips sink into the earth. Let your thighs relax. We also worked a little bit of strengthening the thighs today. Letting that go now. Feel your knees drop. calves release. Ankles and feet let go. Letting your body, your mind, your breath, your emotions simply be. There's nothing you need to do right now. You could think of yourself as an observer, simply watching all of these aspects of your being without being involved in them. Feeling your body without judgment. Noticing your breath without altering it. Seeing your thoughts without following them. And being aware of your emotions without denying them. Holding all that you are in the embrace of kindness, care, non-judgmental awareness. And as you stay with yourself, listening to the chant that I'll share with you today, again, an excerpt from a much longer chant. In this chant, there's a wish for purification, and in particularly the desire to bring the monkey mind into focus so that we can really soften and relax and feel a sense of peace and ease. Pavamana Suvarjanaha Pavitrena Vicharshanihi Yapota Sapunatuma Punantuma Deva Janaha Punantuma Bodhiya Punantu Vishva Ayavaha Jata Veda Pavitravate Pavitrena Punahima Pavamanya Punantuma Prajapatyam Pavitram Om Shanti 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 If you're ready to emerge from Shavasana, you can start to deepen your breath now. Take your time. Tuning into your body again, maybe start to wiggle your fingers and toes. Moving your ankles and wrists and stretching any way that would feel good. And if you're ready to come back to sit, if you've been lying down, you can roll to your side. Take your time. Coming back upright as you're ready. Wherever you are, bringing your palms together, front of your heart center, the center of your chest. And know that no matter how this class went for you today, if you spent the whole time struggling to be focused, if you were completely focused from start to finish, or if you came in and out of that feeling of focus, know that whatever your experience was is absolutely fine. Wonderful. Showing up and engaging in the practice is the most important part. And remember that training the mind is a process. It's not a one-time thing. It's like training a puppy. We don't teach it to come and expect that it's now going to come every single time we call. Okay? But that we bring patience, care, love, concern, all of those qualities of self-care to this practice. Namaste.